It is time to make the sound to summon the stream. Wow, 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 wow. Greetings, dear viewers. I'm Coil Quickcard, and welcome back to the RPG Maker Community Project. I have been working on this project for more than a year, while trying to integrate as many ideas from chatters and commentators as possible. If you want to participate in this project, anyone is more than welcome to. You can just leave messages, and during the live streams, you can leave comments on any of the VODs, or you can go ahead and join the channel Discord. There's a link down in the description, and discuss it there. We are always happy to welcome fresh perspectives as we continue to build this absolutely crazy project. Yes, good morning, calls. Guess it's, let's see, what should it be for you? Afternoon for you, isn't it? First thing I wanted to do today, I actually wanted to do a basic test. One of the things I want to work on today is I kind of want to build an enemy that function fairly similar to metal slimes from the Dragon Quest series. If you have never played Dragon Quest, there are enemies in the series called metal slimes. They have very high defenses, they have very high evasion, they are hard to hit, they are hard to kill, and after a while they tend to run away from battle. However, the trade-off is that if you can beat metal slimes, they give huge rewards of money and experience, and they're kind of a staple of the series. They're kind of like the grinding enemy. I want to see if we can make our root beer slimes function similar to the metal slimes. The problem is that doing that purely by adjusting magic defense stats would be pretty difficult. So I want to see if setting element rates to 1% will cause damage to be reduced before or after the damage calculations. Ideally, I want to get a situation where almost any attack that hit something would only deal 1 damage and wouldn't deal 0 damage. So I'm going to give that a try here. When we start the first turn, we are going to apply a state to this enemy. And that's just going to be the state that I'm using to test this. So this test state, you know what? Don't remove it and make sure it stays. It reduces fire damage to 1%. So let's see what happens if we fight this guy with a 1% fire damage limiter. Okay, it will also help if it's not an enemy that already gives itself a shield. Alright, let's test this. Thatcher, I need you to try a firebolt. Okay. Okay, that actually still dealt damage. That actually still dealt damage. Okay, that's actually completely viable. That is such good news. Now I just need to build the state that does this. It's going to be completely invisible to the players. This is going to be damage reduction. You know what? Screw it. We'll just call it Root Beer Slime Guard. And now we just make sure that every rate of every element is reduced to the absolute minimum. The only exception I want to that is rain damage. I want rain damage to still work against them like normal. I just realized I could literally just stick this effect onto the enemy version regardless. But this way I can use it everywhere else as well. You know what? Just make it everything. Even anti-slime. There's not going to be any way to bypass this damage output. So let's actually create an enemy for the purposes of testing this. And we're just going to give them like 20 HP. And they're going to look like this. Now let's test this again with an enemy that has a maximum HP of 20. And let's see how this goes. Okay. Cap flip. Okay. That's pretty good. So this is how we are going to build the root beer slimes. So let's say that we're averaging... Let's say that we're averaging like 2 damage per an attack. And let's say that in the course of a battle, we want... let's see. How do we want to... How many hits do we want to get off on one of the root beer slimes in order to actually kill them? Honestly, I think the HP... I genuinely think that the HP 20 is fine. But now what we're going to do is we're going to take our evasion rate and we're going to bump it all the way up to 50%. Magic evasion rate, also 50%. Critical evasion, 100%. You cannot get critical hits on this thing. And I want to have a total debuff protection as well. I know that I built a oh. Oh, I kind of just already did that with the intangible. It's fine. I know that I did this with some kind of a buff that would just provide at least I think I did. Didn't I design some kind of a thing that would basically give debuff protection? I could have sworn I built something that gave debuff protection. I may not have built something that gives debuff protection. Damn. Okay. Then we're going to have a lot of debuff resistance here. No to poison, no to blind, no to lock, no to enrage, no to confusion, no to charm, no to sleep, no to hex, no to paralysis, no to being stunned, no to being controlled, no to... God damn it, it's status number 23. It's status ailment block. I knew I built one of them somewhere. Status ailment block. Okay, we've got so many other effects that we need to do here. We don't want bind. We don't want Frostburn, any of the 3 versions of Frostburn. It is honestly kind of insane just how far I have had to twist things over the course of this project in order to make them work. But it has been just tremendously fun. Working on this project is genuinely a true pleasure. It is an absolute delight for me. And, you know, sometimes it has been possible to kind of, you know, lose that feeling. But I think it's okay. You know, I am genuinely enjoying it. I am really enjoying being lucky enough that I get to work on this and enjoy this and just have a great time. Friggin' love the fire red leaf green rocker sprite. I'm glad it can make you happy. Berserk, that is another status effect that this doesn't do. Drunk, you are immune to the drunk effect. Okay. This is the status ailment block ability. And we need to make a copy of this. This is going to be permanent debuff immunity. And it does not wear off on its own, and it is completely invisible to the player. Good morning, Aubrey. Welcome to the stream. And so this is going to be the root beer slime. And on top of adding the root beer slime guard, it adds permanent debuff immunity. And there it is. The root beer slime. Okay. That seems fine. We are going to, if you manage to beat it, drop a bubbling water, guaranteed. It's actually going to have a chance of dropping... I actually don't really have like a root beer item. That's fine. It's fine if there's no other thing that it can do. We are going to give it a higher critical hit rate, though. Hello, Doctor. Welcome to the stream. And let's bump up the attack even more. And legitimately, all it really does is attack. And then, like, every other turn, it has a good chance of double attacking. Is dual attack the one that hits... It hits one enemy twice. Double attack is the one for 2 random enemies. Okay. So, double attack... I'm just going to rename these because I mix these up all the time. This is going to be attack twice, same. This is going to be attack x2 random. And this is going to be attack 3 random. Status effect that lowers stats and makes them have a difficult chance to hit. Let's make sure we have just the basic version working. As we move later into the game, we can definitely use this same model just to indicate that it's always this type of enemy. So I want this one to be tough, but I don't want it to be catastrophic yet. And it also has a chance of running away. Yes, okay, there is a move for just escape. That is exactly what I want. Special effect, escape. And escape. Sure, it's a boot. And we'll see. We'll say it just does this and flees. Okay. So, if you make it to turn, let's say turn 2, and every turn after that, there is a basically 1-ish in 3 chance that it will flee. Just to make it a little bit unreliable. Honestly, let's make that 3. I'm more comfortable with that. Okay. All right. So if this works, we should have an enemy that we can hit with our normal attacks, and our normal attacks do damage to it, but very, very little damage. However, we've got like a 50% chance of missing any of our attacks. When it attack backs, it hurts. But it also has a high chance of escaping. So this should be an enemy that is absolutely beatable, but that a lot of the time you're not going to beat before it escapes. And now that we have done that, we are going to add a crazy reward to it. Like, if you beat this thing, you get 3,000 bottle caps. And you also get, let's say, 1,000 experience. What level are we actually operating at here? Level 14. What does the experience curve for 14 look at? Okay, so we're still in a situation at this point in the game where we're just looking at needing somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 to reach a level. So I think that's pretty reasonable. All right, let's test it. This may be the finished root beer slime. Holy hell, that hurts. This is inspired by the metal slimes from Dragon Quest. Okay. We can reduce its attack a bit. So weak enough attack does do 0 damage. Multi-hit attacks can be partially nullified. Okay. So there's an invisible enemy in there we need to get rid of. Alright, let's make some adjustments. I think we need to crank up the evasion a little bit. Remember that you have the Rui flipping off strike. Yes, I do. Okay. The increased critical hit rate is definitely too much. We'll drop the reward down to 2,000. I want to try fighting it long enough to see it escape. I want to make sure that the escape effect actually works. This is actually exactly what I was hoping for, too. This is fantastic. Precise Strike should basically always hit. I think I might have it set to certain hits. The main thing is I want to see it escape. I want to make sure that the escape function works. It definitely has the attack twice option. But will you escape? I need you to try to escape. That's it? That's it right there. Okay. We did it. This is it. This is the root beer slime. I am so happy with that enemy. It is a major threat. It is hard to kill. But if you can kill it, the rewards are huge. It is not a complex enemy. It is a challenging enemy with decent rewards. That is the Dragon Quest style root beer slime, made in the same style as Dragon Quest's metal slimes. I am so proud of that. Okay. The next thing I want to do is I want an encounter where there is a hidden enemy, but when the hidden enemy is revealed, they will immediately place a shield on themselves. So let's turn on a little bit of music while we work on that, because this is going to be a little bit more database work. Honestly, the fragmented feline is probably a pretty good candidate for that. So how do I want to go about this? Umbra Spider... Yeah, Umbra Spider has good stats to start working with. So we need the Kate Sith. We make it look like this. Okay. Bump up the HP by a little bit. We need anti-humanoid damage to be most powerful here. That should be fine. Bump up the stats a little bit. Yeah, that should be fine. We'll make these worth 150 experience each. Let's say 300 gold each. And let's apply some of the skills we've worked on. Alright, we want them to often purr on the first turn. And after that, let's see. What would be kind of a good move to give them? Let's see. Knife toss. Knife toss probably works fine. That is 4 random enemies basically at regulars. No, maybe not that. Claw swipe. Yeah, claw swipe's fine instead. Okay. Poison attack, 4, and then just regular attacks. That's fine. This doesn't need to be a particularly complicated enemy. So this is going to be Pepsi Foes 1. And we're going to add 2 fragmented felines. But we are going to hide the second one. So, where are my hidden enemy things? Yes. So, first things first, we make sure... we make sure that at the end of every turn, if the invisible enemy's switch is on... Well, first we need to make sure that when the battle starts, we turn on the invisible enemy's switch. If the invisible enemy switch is on, then at the end of every turn, the invisible fragmented feline... What am I looking at here? Hold on. Every single time I have to look at how I made the invisible attacks thing work. Yeah. So fragmented feline attacks randomly while it's invisible at the end of each turn. Okay. And then we need the reveal. So if the echolocate ability is used, we have the fragmented feline appear. We say fragmented feline has been revealed. And then we immediately have fragmented feline number 2 use the skill to give itself a shield. Boom. So if it's revealed, it pops up and then it uses a shield. However, they never use a shield just naturally in the normal course of events. So I think that works pretty well. Okay. So there is the next type of enemy that I wanted to develop. Hidden enemies that activate a shield when revealed. Perfect. Okay. The next thing that I want to do, and this was an idea that came to me. So at this point, it is... Where the hell is it? Okay. So at this point, Katasby's Precise Strike is what is being used to break through shields. So what I want to do is get another couple versions of this. What is your favorite character in this game so far? That's a tough question. That honestly is like a surprisingly difficult question for me. I think it might be Thatcher, weirdly enough. Like, I've done almost nothing with her in the narrative, but I've always had fun sort of coming up with spells for Thatcher. Ryu is awesome, but Ryu is a ton of work. Malter is fun to design things with, but I don't really have any connection to Malter, like, at personality. Elena is a lot of fun to work with, but most of the stuff that involved Elena we're already past. Katasby is fine. But anytime I'm coming up with new stuff for Thatcher, it's so satisfying to me. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to design 2 new versions of precise attacks. Attacks that basically are guaranteed damage. They cannot miss. They deal Pepsi damage. These are attacks that are intended to break shields. So this one is going to be a special attack that is actually tied to a new weapon that we can get for Elena. So this is going to be the Precision Sword. And we're just going to make it like a power of 52. It's fine. The value of it is going to be like pretty crazy. But the biggest thing that this is going to do is make it so that when you use the attack skill, it uses this precise strike skill instead of the normal attack. So we're just going to call this precise attack. And this sword is going to say, a sword imbued with magic that lets it break through shields. I don't need to be so stingy with the attack value. We can just crank that up. It's fine. I think that is all that I need to do for the Elena version of this effect. So now we need Precision Bolt. And this is actually going to be a spell for Thatcher. So I want to take one of Thatcher's spells. Let's just start with this. Actually, I really don't want to... I really don't want to make it that powerful. Because this is basically guaranteed Pepsi damage. Which was the entire point of, like, Chaos Bolt. So we're going to make it, like, relatively unimpressive. So this definitely triggers counter magical. We don't need normal. Fires magic missiles at a weak point. So I need like some kind of like a magic missile spell. Oh, that would do it. Sure. We definitely want to make it a more expensive, but not crazy expensive. Honestly, like 20 is a fine cost for that. It's magic skill. Okay. Fire magic missiles that never miss and can break shields. Okay, that's fine. Malter in nutshell. I have to meet someone who can outsmart bullets. I'm imagining a Ryu screaming swear words at an enemy just because said enemy called them a duck. Ugh. I think both of these work. So the next thing I need to do is have another couple of special things here. So Thatcher learned precision. Just screw it. We'll just say Thatcher learned Magic Missile. We'll just call it Magic Missile. That's basically what Magic Missile is supposed to be anyway. And since we are doing that, adding a new effect, let's update our debug options. So that Thatcher can learn another thing. We need to rename this to Scroll Magic Missile. Has the debug been updated to give Chaos Bolt? Yes, it has. Okay, good. So we're just going to rename this Magic Missile. What kind of sandwiches does the main cast like? Imagine the most terrible, sad, pathetic sandwich you've ever made in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. That's their favorite. Like, pickle, cream cheese, and chili sauce. They absolutely love it. Okay, I think that works. So now we need an item. So we're going to have the Scroll of Magic Missile. Teaches Thatcher the spell Magic Missile. Deals precise damage to break enemy shields. And that's tied to the new common event. Scroll Magic Missile. Okay, perfect. Alright, I think that is all done. Thatcher definitely loves the shiny hunting sandwiches. Nah, fuck the Herba Mystica. Okay. So, here is why I have designed those two effects. Somewhere in this tower, you can find, like, a magic book, and if you interact with the book, it mentions that it's, like, magic for breaking shields. You could take it as a scroll, or you could enchant a sword. So it basically gives the group an additional option for shield breaking, but you have to choose between if that shield breaking is going to take the form of a spell for Thatcher or a new sword for Elena. So now we need to design that choice somewhere. I think this spot is fine. I think this is fine. Which layer are you on? You're on that layer. Perfect. Okay. So this is going to be a book. And it will disappear after the book choice made. We'll just call it precise effect choice. That's simple enough. Okay. Book. That's fine. But we also need to make sure that the book actually moves into position. So we need something that will move down, does not repeat movements. So every time this map is loaded, there's going to be a sparkly thing that just instantly appears over this book. So we need some sparkles. We need sparkles. We need sparkles. These are sparkles. Okay. It moves down and then it changes its speed. Perfect. Let's have it move down and then change its own image. I think that is the better way to do it. So it gets here. So it's already moved down. So it's facing down. Stepping animations on. Direction fix on. And it does that instantly as soon as the map is loaded. Okay. So that should work. We should see the sparkles immediately appear. Ah. But the problem is I did not put through on them. Okay, chat, what do you think? Are those sparkles nice and subtle enough, but also noticeable enough? Like, if you were playing this game casually, would your eyes note, huh, there's something there? Because it definitely works for me, but I already know that it's there, and am actively looking for it. Would it catch your eye? I think that works great. I think that's great. But now that I'm thinking about it, I need to run a test. I need to run a test and make sure that you actually are able to interact with the book. Perfect. Okay. Okay. That looks fine. So Thatcher can have something to say about it. It's a book on magic that can break through shields. Nah, screw it. We'll just present it. We'll just present it as a clear choice to the players. You found a book on magic that can break through shields. You could take a page from the book and teach Thatcher a shield breaking spell, or you could use the book to enchant the sword to break to enchant the sword into a weapon for Elena that can break shields. Do you want to get a shield breaking spell for Thatcher, or a shield breaking sword for Elena? And we'll give the choices. We will have the shield breaking spell, or the shield breaking sword. There's no default and there's no cancel. This just, you select it and that's it. So if you select the shield breaking spell, then what am I doing? Right, we are giving the scroll. Okay. You chose a scroll of magic missile. You chose to get a spell and tore out a scroll of magic missile. Okay. And then there's a switch, and you made your choice, and it's done. So now we basically do the same thing. I don't want to call it like Sword of Precision. I just don't think that's a good name for it. Chat, what is a good name for this sword? This is a sword. It is an upgrade for Elena. And it breaks shields when you use it. What do we do with that? What do we name it? We need a good name for a magic sword. Sword of Smash. Okay. Sword of Smash. Okay. You chose to get a sword and enchanted the nearby blade, turning it into a sword of smash. Okay, perfect. And then we do need a nearby sword. So we're going to do that. And where do I have just like a sword sticking in the ground? Sure. That looks like a good sword. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Let's give it a test. Alright, well, we gotta stop the sword from moving. You found a book on magic that can break through shields. You could take a page from the book and teach Thatcher a shield-breaking spell, or you could use the book to enchant the sword into a weapon for Elena that can break shields. Do you want to get a shield-breaking spell for Thatcher or a shield-breaking sword for Elena? Let's get the sword. You chose to get a sword and enchanted the nearby blade, turning it into a sword of smash. Okay. And, yep, that is the Sword of Smash. That's good. Let's put that as same as characters. Get rid of this stool here. And let's put some kind of special looking thing underneath this. There we go. All right. And perfect. All right. Even if you tap through, it doesn't have a default to screw you over on your choice. It forces you to actively make a choice. So, Scroll of Magic Missile. Thatcher learned Magic Missile. Thatcher has Magic Missile. Perfect. Okay. So that adds yet another option for shield breaking to the party. There should never be a way to form your party where you will not have at least one person who is capable of casting a shield breaker. Something that is known and specifically labeled to be a shield breaker. So that takes care of this thing that I wanted to do today. Honestly, not too bad. Not bad at all. Okay. So we also wanted to have the Soul Sucker Bat enemy available to fight inside this area. So let's make a special version of an absorbing effect. I know I had something that worked as an absorber. Feed on flesh 2, that's fine. Didn't I have something that attacks MP? Yeah, I had stamina cut. I just had a really unhinged thought. Please share. Okay. So-and-so absorbs life force. That's fine. So this will be Steal Life. And we are going to make it a bit weaker. And the reason that we are going to make this a little bit weaker is because it's going to hit all of the enemies. Perfect. And it can also absorb stamina. So this is going to be MP Drain, Darkness Elemental, Special, all enemies. Okay. And we'll throw a big variance on it. Okay. I think that works. That's fine. That's fine. Give it like 1750. Why not? We'll have like 110 XP, rewards, 200 gold. So it can feed on flesh. And it will also deal Steel Life all. And Steel Stamina all. Okay. So this is going to be Pepsi Foes 02. Let's see what it's like going up against just 2 Soul Suckers. A cutscene that is Thatcher trying to eat the magical ingredients raw that fully replenishes mana and gives temporary more mana, and when used goes away. No. Building cutscenes is very involved work, and I really want to avoid using it for very niche applications like that when possible. Holy crap. Okay, the stamina steal is absolutely nasty. Okay, Soul Suckers are no damn joke. Holy shit. And the single target, feed on flesh. Jesus, that is strong. Okay. The steel stamina, no, that needs to be less. That needs to be much less. Let's just make it let's make it like 40 stamina. We don't want to go completely insane with that. That's nuts. We're also going to decrease their attack by a bit. I've gone way too crazy with these attack values. Add an item that gives something like Golden Hearts in Legend of Zelda, but instead of HP, it's mana. I do not know how to build something like that. Okay, so there we go. We've got Root Beer Slime, Pepsi Foes 1, Pepsi Foes 2. We'll have another fight that is just a fragmented feline and a soul sucker. So this will be Pepsi Foes 03. And finally we're going to have Pepsi Foes mini boss and it's just going to be 4 soul suckers, because that's actually like really rough, if you're not fighting it carefully. So here we go. These are the encounters for our newest dungeon. You can have root beer slimes, which I'm going to make a little rarer. The fragmented felines, the soul suckers, a fragmented feline and a soul sucker. And the mini boss for this dungeon will just be 4 soul suckers. All of these fights you can get through like relatively quickly. I think that's fine. So now what I want to do is set up the various encounter lists. Pepsi Fuzz 2. Soul Suckers could drop a weapon that deals lifesteal damage. I am hesitant to give that ability to players. We do want to weight the root beer slimes less. They should be a rarer encounter. It's not a terrible idea. It really isn't. It would... No, actually, thinking about it a little more, that's actually a cool idea. We've already got the Cole's Crowbar, which is basically equipable by everybody. But we haven't really added more weapons that are usable by basically everybody. So we'll just go ahead and we will add... Why don't we make it clubs? Clubs, cudgels, sticks, rods. It seems like everybody reasonably should be able to fight with one of those. So we'll just... we'll have a droppable life-stealing weapon. We can definitely add crafting for lifesteal weapons later on. Should I leave the root beer slime at a weight of 4 or drop it? So the basic idea of how it generates an encounter is that it adds up the total weight for all troops and then just rolls a number within that range. So for instance, right now the range would be 19. And then it would roll a number. And like 1 through 4 would give you a root beer slime. And then like 5 through... you get the point. Do I want it to be 3 out of 18? Do I want it to be 3 out of 18? 3 out of 18 is 1 in 6. 1 in 6 is a dice roll. I think I want the root beer slimes to be a little bit more common than a dice roll, but not quite as common as the other encounters. I think 4 out of 19 is fine. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. But we're also going to have it so that encounters are not very common, so we're going to put the encounter steps up. I don't want there to be like a crap load of random encounters as the players work their way through this dungeon. I want them to be pretty sparing. And then once you get up to the 4th floor will have no random encounters. A weak lifesteal, I don't know if I can, with my default tools, create a weapon that has a limited lifesteal. Where is Cole's crowbar? Where is the crowbar? Here's Cole's crowbar. So let's take this. And we're going to put it down here. So this is absolutely does not have any of these insane stats attached to it. What are we looking at for the basic damage numbers in this place? We made a sword and it was 60. 60, 30. Let's put it at... First off, we're going to have to insert a column. Okay. These are going to be general weapons. So this one was 45, and this was Cole's crowbar. And we don't have any other general weapons up to this point. I think... I think I think 50... No, let's set it 48. It's still a bit on the lower end. We do not have it add an extra skill. Okay. But what it does need to do is have a different type of attack. We're going to set it to skill 288. Set it to 48. I think the idea of having it be consistent is better. So universal weapons are just going to be like clubs, maces, staffs. They're going to be like basic blunt weapons that you could hit something with. We're going to call this the sapping staff. A magical... No, staff is already something I've established is a Thatcher thing. Let's just stick with clubs. We are going to call this the draining rod. Does Thatcher's stuff use like a rod? Have I ever used rod? No, I have always specifically called them staves. Okay. So I could go with rod. Morning Star. Yes, that is another option. We'll just go with this. We'll just call it the Hungering Mace. A simple club, or a magical club anybody can use. Steals life from enemies when used for regular attacks. I think that's pretty good. That looks decent. We don't need to attach any other stats to it. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine for the animation. Okay, and then as far as attacks go, we take attack, we copy it, we put it on skill 288. And the special thing this one does is HP drain. And we will have it be a drain effect. The animation, hit fire, attack, that's fine. So now, if you have the Hungering Mace equipped, when you attack, you will use the Drain Attack skill. Perfect. Alright, and now we can give the Soul Suckers a chance to drop it. I do not want this to be a high chance. So let's just make it like a 1 in 20. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. 1 in 20 is fine. But we also need to be able to sell it. Let's say it's got a price of 5,000, so you could sell them off for 2,500 a piece. That's a lot of money. Okay. So we have now added a lifesteal weapon that can drop from the guys. Okay. We do need to put a mimic somewhere on the southern island. So, where do we have a mimic? Okay. Here's a mimic. We're going to take the mimic, and we're going to put it down here in the storage area. And another mimic up here by the chair. And that's going to be it. That's going to be where we have our 2 mimics for the area. That works great. We designed the Pepsi slime, so that's fine. When we get to the Pepsi factory, there will also be Pepsi golems. Is there guard dog mimics? No. That would defeat the entire purpose of them being a mimic if they are just immediately recognizable as a threat. Okay. This is an important note for the upcoming scene. So let's work on this magical cat encounter. Let's throw on some other music. Yeah, that's fine. They've arrived. I told you I was being followed. I suppose you had to be right eventually. What's that supposed to mean? Your paranoia's been getting worse. You've been convinced you're being followed for days, and clearly I was right. Who are you? Why have you been causing trouble? I'll deal with them. Go prepare for the summoning. Be careful. They are stronger than they appear. Magic Cat 1 moves up and disappears. So we are using this Magic Cat. Okay. So the magic cats. This is where we're going to put a fight. The cats are going to face up. And... nope, not that one. Where's my other one? Here's my other one. Minions. Stop them. Okay. And then you just go straight into the mini-boss battle. Which is fine. That way I don't need to design, like, a big, complicated thing. Okay. Okay. That didn't work. And then this guy says, I'll deal with him, go prepare for the summoning. Be careful, they're stronger than they appear. So we can have Katasby make a comment here. He'll just be sad and pathetic. He'll just be like, bring it on. So Magic Cat 2 is going to say, quiet, just wait a second. He's going to turn down. He's going to wait like 2 seconds. He's going to move down, down. Cat 2 from here. Right. Wait another second. And then he's going to go even faster. He's going to go left, up, up. Okay. Left, up, up, up. And this is where the cat finally starts to actually reveal some of this stuff. So players keep going and have a mini-boss fight. And... okay. Perfect. You have to listen to me. I need your help. No, I think he's out of earshot now. Please, you have to help us. Okay. So, we're back into dialogue. Player will have an exclamation. And then a question. And Katasby, does the kitty join the party? No, absolutely not. Under no circumstances. I have already twisted this project so far to accommodate the incessant and unending obsession with animals and pets. We are not going more. Or at least we're not going more in this way at this time. Besides, I already have, like, a whole thing we came up with last stream where we're going to integrate some more backstory and some more cats and stuff around the world. So, I think it will help to make up for it. Okay. So, Katasby's just going to be confused. We'll be like, what? Ugh. Ugh. Aubrey, the cats' names are Saudi and Sora. Is this Saudi or is this Sora? You get to pick which cat this is. Well, I don't know if they're Saori or Sora. Honestly, Sora is the black and white one because Kingdom Hearts Pro Tag. Okay. So this is going to be Sora. My name is Sora. And I have been... and I am bound to the root beer gods. My name is Sora. The other cat was my brother, Saori. And we are bound to the root beer gods and trying to find a way to break free. This is gonna be some real weird dialogue. We are bound to the beer gods and are trying to find a way to break free. Please help us. At least listen to my story. Okay, so... do we want to go with, like, a full flashback here? It's gonna be such a pain in the ass to do a full flashback. Honestly, I would rather just fade to black and, just, like, have text. It's... we'll have Katasby say, I don't understand. Yeah, we'll just do a fade out. This is fine. We'll position the dialogue windows in the middle, so while the screen is faded out, my brother and I lived in Wallachia. Something terrible happened there. It's strange. The details are all so murky. But we fled the city to find safety. We were pursued by the undead the whole way. We had to use haphazard methods to reach these lands. We were exhausted. Sick, and badly injured. The locals would not help us. Neither the bat folk nor the cat folk would offer us respite. That's gonna get cut off, is it? No, it's fine. We had nothing. Okay. Alone, sickly, and injured. We did not think we would survive until they appeared before us. The root beer gods spoke to us from a rift. The root beer gods spoke to us from a rift and offered to save our lives in exchange for our souls. And when you are that desperate, that broken, the price never seems to matter. We accepted. That's a lot of dialogue in the fade out, so we'll fade back in. Okay. We will move this line of dialogue. Why is my computer being slow? There we go. Kathaz will say, sorry, what was that? I'm really high right now. Okay. Balloon icon on Magic Cat 2. We'll go with the sweat drop. How do I do this? Otherworldly gods offered to save my life and the life of my brother for our souls. Basically, okay. And Katasby will say, like, that's a really stupid idea. And the cat will continue. Just put all the dialogue back at the bottom again. Please don't fight the gods while high if you are going to fight with them. It's a really stupid idea. When you are that desperate, the price never seems to matter. We didn't want to die. But obviously, we regretted our choice as soon as it was made. We pleaded with the root beer gods for another way to appease them. And they agreed. The root beer gods made a binding promise to release their claim to our souls. Oh, Shinny's raiding along. Hello, Shinny. Hello, everybody else who might be coming into the stream. I'm Coil Quickcard, and today we are doing RPG Maker MZ. This is a community project where for more than a year I have been building a game in RPG Maker while trying to integrate as many ideas and concepts from viewers and commentators as I possibly can. We are currently working on a scene of exposition where a magical cat is explaining to the party that he needs their help because they sold their soul to the root beer gods and then made a new deal where they'd get their souls back if they gave 100 souls to the root beer gods. So in order to do that, they engineered a fight. They engineered a war between the cat people and the bat people living in the jungles around the Pepsi headquarters. I think that is about as succinct, if insane, a summary of the current events as I can possibly provide. And they agreed The root beer gods made a binding promise to release their claim to our souls if we would deliver 100 other souls to them first. Okay. So, Katasby will have a line. We can have some stuff here. So, player icon, exclamation, without waiting, event 1, exclamation. What happens if Sora and Azuri send 100 souls of insects to the gods? Insects don't have souls. If insects had souls, I would have to feel bad about sometimes by necessity and by a natural consequence of my life being responsible for truly countless numbers of their deaths. And I choose not to do that. Therefore, insects do not have souls. That's just how moralizing works. So Katasby is going to be like, that's insane. We formed a plan. We would free ourselves and take revenge on the catfolk and the batfolk at the same time. We would manipulate the locals into war and feed those souls to our gods. But this has gone too far. But I found another way. What has souls? Do non-sentient creatures have souls, or does it have to be sentient to have one? I believe a soul is an emergent property that occurs as a consequence of consciousness and development. Therefore, it is my personal belief that a soul is something which, like every other aspect of life, has to develop and grow and mature. Therefore, it is difficult to specify which things have souls at any given time, or to what degree those souls may be. But it's best not to dig into that philosophical line of thinking, because it gets real uncomfortable for a lot of people very quickly. But I found another way. The root beer gods are weakened. That is why they desire these souls. They can be opposed. They can be destroyed. So we'll have another player moment. And Katasby. So they can just give chickens and mice to the gods. Probably not. You want us to kill a god. Cat will say 2 gods, actually. And we'll have another line. More icons. Who gods actually... That sounds like suicide. Okay. Cat will say, let's see, that sounds like suicide. Maybe, but it might be the only chance to avoid catastrophe. Who knows what the root beer gods will do if they regain their power. Okay. And then, just because this is already a very long scene, we'll have the cat just move out. So he'll say, follow me. I can explain more and tell you what must be done. Is it the root beer soda god and the lethal root bar with the real beer? Why did the gods specified that you can't use wildlife? Look, they signed a binding contract. There were lawyers. It was like a 9-month process. You know, there was a lot of back and forth. Ultimately, everybody agreed to a document that had very specific known rules everyone was on board with. It was a reasonable compromise. It was all very official. They had a notary there to sign it. It was filed. Very, very official stuff. Okay, Cat, explain more. And so the cat is currently positioned here. So it needs 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then disappear. Okay. Do I have a switch for this? No, I do not. Okay. So this is going to be cutscene 1. We turn on that switch. And then we add another switch, cutscene 1 on. Cutscene 1 on. Cutscene 1 on. Okay. Let's test this dungeon. All right, this is like our proper test, okay? Fragmented feline. That is way too many claw swipes. Okay. So we have taken care of this. Alright, we're going to make patch notes here at the top, and then we're going to fix them. So, Give cats... Or give felines a different claw swipe that hits less. That's fine. Let's go here. You found a book on magic that can break their shields. We are going to take the shield-breaking sword. No, this is the way that I can't access yet. Okay, root beer slime! Root beer slime! Yes! Alright. We get to have an actual proper test of root beer slime. Alright, cap flip can never... What does heavy metal bash do here? You know, I should have seen that coming. What about a chaos bolt? Right. We also want to change the text for nullifies magic. That's an important one. Katasby. What about double claws? Not bad. God damn, you hit like a truck. Cap flick never misses. Ooh, but it does not do a lot of damage. Thatcher, healing, please. Cap flip. God damn, he's so strong. Precise strike should never miss. Ooh, ouch. Got him. Okay. I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna make this easier. We're gonna change root beer slime HP to 15. Those things are so goddamn strong. I have a dumb lore idea. Alright. Go ahead and share it. Okay, so this is basement 2. Nope, that's not it. I've actually gotten lost in my own dungeon. That's how I know it's a good dungeon. Okay, Soul Sucker. Feline purrs seductively. Can we just heavy metal bash the Soul Sucker? Absolutely flawless. We can also go with Bird Blind to kill them more efficiently. Perfect! Yes! God, that is good. We've got some real tough fights, and we have given the players the tools that they need to win those fights. Beautiful! Absolutely beautiful. Okay, this can go here. Here we go. Alright. Now the way to the magical cats is opened. It's working. Okay. Very good. All right. Fights are pretty rare. That's what I wanted. Reason why the war started is because Sora and Sori stole a chicken. No, we're not doing that. We already have established the lore of what's going on here, and we have been designing things for like 2 months now based on the established lore. So we're not going to undermine the past 2 months of work based on the established lore. They've arrived. I told you I was being followed. Oh, I have these two mixed up. Okay. Cat dialogue. Faces are mixed. Change the two cat locations to fix. Okay. Suppose you had to be right eventually. What's that supposed to mean? Your paranoia has been getting worse. You've been convinced you were being followed for days. And clearly I was right. Who are you? Why have you been causing trouble? Minions, stop them. Okay, 4 soul suckers. This is meant to be a tough fight. Katasby, Birdbind. Bird Blind. Okay. How much can we hit for Fire Breath? Okay, that's pretty damn good. Oof. Yeah, this one's actually pretty tough. Let's go with Zenith. Okay, we need to reduce their numbers quickly. Katasby is nearly dead. Oof. Yeah, that hurt. Hold on, Mantis Shrimp test? I don't have a Mantis Shrimp to test, but we have already tested it in the battle testing. Okay, we've got to drop these things, like, now. They are so strong. Fighting 4 of these is actually a pretty decent mini-boss. It's a very challenging fight. Honestly, that was great. And we found a hungering mace. That didn't work. I'll deal with them. Go prepare for the summoning. Be careful, they are stronger than they appear. So you're next to bring it on. Quiet, just a second. So they go to check. I think he's out of earshot now. Please, you have to help us. I have to read every line of dialogue here carefully to make sure I have it all right. What? My name is Sora. The other cat was my brother Sauri. We are bound to the root beer gods and trying to find a way to break free. Please help us, at least listen to my story. I don't understand. My brother and I lived in Wallachia. Something terrible happened there. It's strange, the details are all so murky, but we fled the city to find safety. We were pursued by the undead the whole way. We had to use haphazard methods to reach these lands. We had nothing. The locals would not help us. Neither the Batfolk nor the Catfolk would offer us respite. Alone, sickly, and injured, we did not think we would survive, until they appeared before us. The root-beer gods spoke to us from a rift and offered to save our lives in exchange for our souls. Sorry, what was that? I'm really high right now. Basically, otherworldly gods offered to save my life and the life of my brother for our souls. That's a really stupid idea. When you are that desperate, the price never seems to matter. We didn't want to die. But obviously we regretted our choice as soon as it was made. We pleaded with the root-beer gods for another way to appease them. And they agreed. The root-beer gods made a binding promise to release their claim to our souls if we would deliver 100 other souls to them first. Okay, that did not work. Okay, change balloon icon appearances to the proper event. That's insane. We formed a plan. We would free ourselves and take revenge on the Catfolk and the Batfolk at the same time. We would manipulate the locals into war and feed those souls to our gods. But I found another way. The root-beer gods are weakened. That is why they desire these souls. They can be opposed. They can be destroyed. You want us to kill a god. 2 gods, actually. That sounds like suicide. Maybe, but it might be the only chance to avoid catastrophe. Who knows what the root-beer gods will do if they regain their power. Follow me, I can explain more and tell you what must be done. Okay, and then the event breaks because give cat through when it leaves. Okay, perfect. Alright, so we have stuff that we need to test. The first thing I want to make sure of, the black cat is the one that was at the docks. So this one should be the black cat. And then this one should be the other cat. That immediately is going to fix the dialogue weirdness. Okay. Next thing we want to do, we want to name this differently and adjust the location of the things. So we need to put through on here. We have to adjust all the places where we have a balloon icon on event 1, because it should not be on event 1. Okay. Good. Alright. Give balloon icon to the first thing. Next, I need a different version of claw swipe that is not so damn tough. Oh, no, there's the... Yikes. That is a crazy attack. No, we want it to attack once on 4 random enemies. Okay. This is going to be call swipe alt. And we want to give claw swipe alt to the fragmented felines. Fragmented felines are dying very quickly, so we're going to adjust that and adjust the root beer slime HP. And last thing, we want to change the text for nullifying magic. Okay. Magic evasion. Avoided the magic. That works fine. Okay. So all of that works. All of that works really, really well. And the Soul Suckers are actually a very, very powerful boss. They're actually strong enough that I think I want to reduce their attack just a smidge. Yeah, I think that's fine. Fragmented felines, we want to have them the standard, we'll give them a 1 in 4 chance of dropping a bottle of Pepsi. And we'll give them a 1 in 8 chance of dropping a Pepsi Monster. And a 1 in 5 chance of dropping a Crystal Pepsi. Soul Suckers, that's fine. We can give the Soul Suckers a chance to drop Beast Hides. Let's make it a 1 in 6. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. So the players are now up to level, we'll say 16. There we go. And Katasby has, let's say, Mimic Claws. Spectacles. Why the hell do you have spectacles? Why do you have spectacles? Why are spectacles an offhand option for you? Seriously, where did spectacles come from? Spectacles. This is one of the default things. No, screw that. Okay. Alright, and you wanted a mantis shrimp test. So this is where we are going to end the stream today. So we're just going to make sure of 2 things here. One, we are going to make sure that we do get attacked by the invisible one, like we're supposed to be. Does it work if we are giving orders to... Yes, something unseen attacks. Perfect. Okay. So if we echolocate... Fragmented Feline has been revealed, and then immediately casts Guard. That's exactly what I wanted. Okay, next thing I want to test... Mantis Shrimp. Deals 3,000 Pepsi damage to its dart. That literally means nothing. Okay, Mantis Shrimp is fine, but we do need to adjust the wording. Okay. All right, that is where we are going to end the stream for today. We did a good... Has it really only been like 2 hours 15? Yeah, it has. Wow. We did a good 2 hour 15-minute stream today. We worked on a lot of stuff. I got through my list of things, like specific goals that I wanted to do today. We added some new stuff. We added new weapons, new spells. We added scenes. We got new enemies working. We fleshed out more the cat base, which is fantastic. I don't really have any in-between stream tasks, but on the next stream, we will design the next floor of the cat base and more exposition. We will put a couple of legit treasures into the cat base, including one new equipable item. We will design the Pepsi Golem, since this is a thing that we are going to be doing now. We'll design the top floor of the cat base with the teleporter to the Pepsi factory basement. And let's also design the thing where Thatcher can learn the rainstorm spell. So we will also do that as well. And some initial map planning for the Pepsi factory. Design the Pepsi Golem. Design the Pepsi Ghost. We already took care of the Storm Dragon out in the ocean. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's everything we wanted to do. I think we've got a good agenda for next stream. Of course, I will be thinking about other ideas myself for stuff we might want to work on next stream as well. Coming up this week, Tuesday, there's going to be more Banjo-Tooie. Another Banjo-Tooie stream. On Saturday, I will not be streaming. No stream on Saturday this week. Taking that day off. But you can be back here a week from today. We're going to have more RPG Maker community project. Really looking forward. I actually feel alive working on this project again. It's been a few weeks since I did. I've been feeling very burnt out. But I'm actually doing a lot better now, and I'm very happy about that. And the current daily series on the channel is StarCraft 2. We've got an April Fool's Day video that will be coming out in 3 days. After StarCraft 2 wraps up, I've got an episode of Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends. So you can look forward to that. I get very aggressive with it. Then a couple episodes playing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle arcade games. And then after that, big one, really excited for it, I'm going back into Warcraft 3. I'm so excited to play through Warcraft 3 again. It's going to be a fantastic time. And week after next, the Saturday streams are going to be back, and I'm going to be playing Ogre Battle 64, and those streams are probably going to go on for a while because that is a pretty big game. So thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for participating. Thank you for being a part of this project. This would not be nearly as fun, nearly as rich, nearly as weird and awesome as it has been without you, and I am deeply grateful. Yeah, I will see you all on the next one. And just as soon as I move this, because I don't like where it's located. Where is my pentagram? Where's my pentagram? Where's my pentagram? Here and here. Much better. That just looks visually more appealing. Alright, I'll see you on the next one, and it is time to make the sound to summon the end of the stream. Boo.